20 years ago, in the cozy confines of a small clinic in Monterey, the air was filled with excitement and anxiety as Amelia and Carlos prepared to welcome a new member to their family. After hours of labor, a shrill cry broke the silence, signaling the birth of a baby girl. The doctor, with a tired smile, gently wrapped baby Chloe in a warm blanket and handed her to Amelia. "Congratulations, it's a girl," the doctor announced. Carlos, the baby's father, approached, his eyes filled with worry and excitement to meet his baby for the first time. He gently placed his hand on Amelia's arm, sharing the joy of this special moment. "What does she look like, Amelia?" he asked, his eyes shifting from his wife to their little one. Amelia held baby Chloe close, her eyes drawn to her smallness and gentleness. What should have been a happy moment was quickly overshadowed by a small worry. "She's so small, Carlos." "Something's wrong," Amelia whispered, her voice shaking as she took in her daughter. Carlos, confused, looked closer and tried to reassure his wife. "She's perfect, Amelia." "Babies are small," he said, trying to reassure her. But Carlos's expression slowly turned to worry as he began to see the unease in Amelia's eyes. "We should ask the doctor. He'll know," he suggested. The doctor, noticing the tension between the couple, approached them and calmly explained that little Chloe was showing signs of microcephaly. "We'll have to run some more tests, but she's healthy. That's the most important thing right now," the doctor tried to comfort them. Amelia tried to take in the information, looking at the doctor with confusion. What does that mean for her future? "Will she be able to have a normal life?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. The doctor nodded and smiled encouragingly. "Many people with microcephaly live perfectly normal, healthy lives. Of course, there are some health and accessibility concerns as the baby grows, such as the possibility of orthopedic problems. However, with proper medical care, most of these issues can be managed effectively. We don't need to worry." Amelia, still clutching baby Chloe in her arms, felt a wave of mixed emotions. The thought of raising a child with special needs terrified her. She looked to Carlos for comfort, but her words were filled with uncertainty. "Carlos, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I can do this," she confessed, tears starting to roll down her cheeks. Carlos, his eyes filled with support and concern, took her hand. "We'll get through this together, Amelia. We'll find a way to make it work." She's our baby, but inside Amelia, the pain grew with every word of encouragement from Carlos. An internal struggle began between her budding motherhood and the overwhelming fear of the unknown. As time passed, the peaceful days were replaced by tension in the family. One quiet afternoon in Monterey, Carlos and Amelia were discussing the state of their family. Carlos looked at his wife with confusion and frustration. "Amelia, she's our baby. We can't hide her away in the house like this. Like there's something wrong with her." Amelia, arms crossed and looking out the window, avoided her husband's gaze. Her voice was hard, as if she didn't want to be contradicted. "I just don't feel comfortable with this, Carlos. People will look, they will talk. I don't want us to be the family that has a different child." Carlos stepped forward, trying to take Amelia's hand, but she raised it away. "But she needs light. She needs to experience the world and interact with other young people. She didn't do anything wrong to be kept hidden like this. She won't understand this now, and I won't change my mind. I'm not ready to deal with the looks and the whispers." Amelia replied, her voice rising slightly. "Easy for you to say, don't pay attention to that. But I'm the one who will be judged. Carlos, one day she will realize that we kept her hidden. She will feel like her mother is ashamed of her. That's not fair to Chloe. She deserves better." The argument dragged on, the distance between them growing. In the end, Carlos had to accept the role of being the sole guardian of little Chloe outside the four walls of their home. "If you don't want to go with her, I'll take her. I'll take her to the doctor, to the park. She'll see the world, even if I have to do it alone." The conversation ended in an uncomfortable silence. Carlos picked up little Chloe, who was playing quietly on the floor, oblivious to the heartache of the two adults. He kissed her forehead, silently promising to make her feel loved and cherished, despite her mother's insecurities. Amelia, watching from afar, felt her heart break. On a cold night in Monterey, Chloe slept peacefully, but the silence was the beginning of an emotional storm that was coming. Amelia sat on the sofa, her hands shaking as she held her cold cup of coffee. Carlos, noticing the tension in her shoulders, slowly approached. "You're quiet today. Is everything okay?" he asked in a worried voice. Sitting next to her on the sofa, Amelia sighed, placing her cup of coffee on the table before turning to face her. "Carlos, I've been thinking a lot about our lives, about everything we've been through." Her voice trembled, the words heavy in the air. "What are you thinking about?" Carlos, trying to hide the worry that was forming in his stomach, asked again, "What are you thinking about?" Amelia hesitated, but the decision had formed in her mind like an unquenchable fire. "I can't go on like this, Carlos. Hiding, feeling ashamed of our daughter. I need more from life. I need something different." The words slipped from her mouth more forcefully than she intended, but the sincerity in them was undeniable. Carlos felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured on his face, looking at Amelia in shock. "Amelia, are you talking about leaving us?" "Leaving Chloe and me?" His voice was a mixture of disbelief and mounting pain. "I'm suffocating here, Carlos. I'm not happy, and it's not fair to Chloe to have a mother like this." Amelia stood up, began pacing the living room, her agitation growing with each step. "I need a change, and I think it's better for everyone if I go." The discussion that followed was long and painful. Carlos tried to understand and find a way to keep the family together, but Amelia was adamant. She spoke of her needs, her right to happiness, reasons that Carlos understood but that broke his heart. Finally, with tears in his eyes and an indescribable burden, Carlos slowly nodded. "If this is what you need to be happy, I won't stop you, Amelia, but Chloe will always miss you." Mark's words came out low, each word carrying its own pain and defeat. Amelia, her eyes glistening with tears but her heart determined, simply nodded, understanding that from that moment on, everyone's lives would change forever. The decision had been made and there was no turning back. That night marked the end of their first marriage, Amelia leaving behind her daughter and the man she still loved, in search of a new beginning that she hoped would lead to the happiness she craved. After the divorce, Amelia married a second time to a wealthy man who encouraged her to aim for great things in life. She finally achieved the goals she had always dreamed of. Meanwhile, Carlos continued to care for Chloe without remarrying, living only for his little daughter. Chloe is now 7 years old, and every day he watches her in awe of her strength and determination, despite her short stature. Chloe grows up happily, facing the world with endless curiosity, thanks in large part to the unconditional love and support Carlos has always given her. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Carlos and Chloe sat on a park bench, watching the other kids play. Chloe watched the kids run around and then looked at her own short legs. "Do you think I can run as fast as them?" she asked in a naive, skeptical voice. Carlos turned to her, smiling gently. "Chloe, you may not be as fast as some kids, but you have other amazing skills. Remember, when you won the art competition at school, it was because of your unique talent that your teacher recognized. Everyone has their own talents, honey." He encouraged her, and Chloe smiled, remembering the day her drawing was chosen as the best in the class. "Yes, Dad, I'm good at colors," she replied eagerly. "And you always said that the most important thing is to do your best." Carlos confirmed, clapping her hand. "Always do your best, no matter what. That's what really matters, and I'll always be here to support and help you, no matter what." Another time, while preparing for Chloe's doctor's appointment, Carlos noticed that she seemed nervous. "What if other doctors are like the last one who wasn't good to me?" Chloe asked, remembering the unpleasant experience. Carlos knelt down, level with Chloe, looking into her eyes with gentle seriousness. "Chloe, I'll be there for you every step of the way. If someone doesn't treat you with the respect you deserve, they'll have to confront me. Never be afraid to speak up or ask for help. You are strong and brave, and I am proud of you. Carlos and Chloe's conversations are not only moments of teaching, but also bonds of love and trust, growing stronger with each word of encouragement and gesture of support. Carlos knows that the road ahead will not be easy for Chloe, but he is determined to do everything in his power to ensure that his daughter has every opportunity to shine, to love her for who she is. Chloe has grown up and is now 22 years old. She carefully adjusts her blazer before entering the majestic building of Lily Baker's company. She takes a deep breath, remembering her father's words of encouragement. She is there to audition for the graphic design department, determined to prove her worth. It doesn't take long for Lily Baker to appear. She is a commanding presence, her presence filling the room. "Yes, I am," Chloe replied politely, extending a hand to Lily. Lily took her hand briefly and invited her to follow her into the bright, modern office. Chloe tried not to let Lily's critical gaze overwhelm her. Sitting across from Lily, she began to skim Chloe's portfolio. "I see you have a good eye for color and composition, but how do you handle tight deadlines and criticism?" Lily's tone was direct and almost challenging. Chloe kept her cool as she replied, "I believe constructive feedback is essential for personal and professional growth. When it comes to deadlines, I organize and prioritize my work to ensure everything is delivered on time." Lily seemed slightly impressed, but her expression was still hard to read. "And what about teamwork? This position requires a lot of collaboration," Lily continued. Chloe explained, "I believe the best ideas come from collaboration and sharing different perspectives." The interview continued with more technical questions and some situational simulations. Chloe tried to demonstrate her abilities and adaptability despite feeling the pressure of Lily's harsh judgment. Finally, Lily closed her portfolio and looked Chloe straight in the eye. "Chloe, you definitely have talent. You can start working immediately." "Congratulations, you're hired," Chloe thanked her, and left the office with a mixture of relief and anxiety. She had given it her all, but knew that the final decision was in Lily's hands. As she walked out of the building, she felt proud that she had taken on one of the biggest challenges of her career so far. Lily Baker was a commanding figure at her company's headquarters in Monterey. As a manager, she was known for her autocratic management style and quick decisions, pushing the company to achieve ambitious goals. However, this efficiency came at a great cost. Lily has a reputation for being demanding and often arrogant with her employees, expecting dedication beyond reasonable limits. In a typical team meeting, Lily looks coldly at the reports in front of her. "These numbers are unacceptable," she begins with disdain. "You have the resources to achieve the goals we have set. If you can't, maybe I need to find people who can." Her employees bow their heads to avoid Lily's piercing gaze. In her office, Lily is often heard speaking coldly to suppliers and partners. "I don't care about excuses, just results. If you can't deliver what you promised, I'll find someone else," she says, without showing any patience or understanding of others' circumstances. For Lily, business is a battle, and she has no tolerance for any weakness. Company employees often share stories of her contemptuous behavior. Once, when a young assistant made a minor mistake during a presentation, Lily reprimanded her in front of the entire group. "That was such a childish mistake. If you want to act like a child, this is probably not the place for you." Public humiliation was a common tactic in Lily's management style. Although effective in pushing the company to record profits, the work environment under her leadership was tense and fearful. Conversations in the hallways were often whispered about the fear of becoming the next target of her wrath. Employees said that Lily was uncompromising and that working with her was like walking on a minefield. However, this rigid attitude was not only with subordinates but also in meetings with other executives or potential investors. She always maintained an air of superiority, almost arrogance. "If you are not willing to invest at the level my company deserves, then I don't need to continue the conversation." On a sunny afternoon at the luxurious Monterey mansion, Lily Baker and her mother, Amelia, are enjoying a peaceful moment in the elegant garden of the house. Both are dressed in exquisite designer clothes, reflecting their impeccable style as they enjoy herbal tea. Their conversation flows smoothly, punctuated by laughter and comments about recent social events. Amelia, who married Lily's father after her divorce from Carlos, her second husband, is a successful businesswoman who travels internationally. Her only daughter, Lily, spends more time with her mother and cherishes every moment with the young woman in her 20s. Amelia watches Lily with admiration as her daughter tells her about her latest achievements at the company. "Dear Lily, I am so proud of you. Everything you do is perfect. You are the daughter I always dreamed of having," Amelia says with a smile that radiates pride. Lily smiled gracefully and thanked her mother. "Thank you, Mom. You know I have a big responsibility seeing all that Dad built." "I'm just trying to continue the family legacy," she replied softly, touching Amelia's hand. Amelia continued, every word filled with genuine admiration, "And not just at work, Lily. Your elegance, your way of dressing, your way of speaking are so refined. Sometimes I can't believe I have a daughter like you." Lily tilted her head to acknowledge the compliment. "It's all thanks to you, Mom. You taught me about fashion, about how to be a real woman in the business world. Everything I have is because of your lessons," she said, cementing the bond between mother and daughter. As they continued to talk, Amelia recalled the events and parties they attended together, emphasizing how Lily always attracted everyone's attention. "I remember the last charity event we attended. You were gorgeous in that red dress and everyone wanted to know who the beautiful girl next to me was. It was a special moment for me," Amelia said, her eyes distant as she reminisced. The conversation between mother and daughter reflected the depth of a relationship based on mutual admiration and shared values of success and self-expression. To Amelia, Lily was not just a daughter but a symbol of everything she held dear and aspired to be. Meanwhile, Chloe was focused on her computer, working on a graphic design project, when Lily Baker entered the room with an authoritative look, causing the atmosphere to become tense. The murmur of conversation gradually quieted as all eyes turned to her. Sensing the change in the atmosphere, Chloe braced herself for what was to come. "Chloe, come here, we need to discuss your latest project," Lily called out, making sure everyone heard. Chloe approached, holding the printout of the design she had created. She noticed Lily's critical gaze as she moved closer. "Is this what you consider acceptable work?" Lily held the design at eye level, then looked at Chloe, pausing dramatically before continuing. "Perhaps I should expect this level of work from someone who has to work to achieve the bare minimum." Her tone carried a double meaning, referring to Chloe's figure. Chloe felt her face flush with embarrassment, but the anger was stronger than the embarrassment. "Ms. Baker, my work should be judged on the quality of it, not comments about my height." "This is unacceptable," Chloe replied, her voice calm, though still shaking with emotion. Lily laughed scornfully, looking around to see if anyone else was feeling the same way. "Oh, Chloe, don't be so sensitive. I'm just kidding. But really, you need to understand that this place has its own standards. It's probably hard for someone with your condition to meet them." Chloe looked around and saw the discomfort on her co-workers' faces as they avoided her gaze. "This isn't a joke, this is discrimination," Chloe declared with growing determination. "I will not accept this, nor should I ask any of us to endure this treatment. I will fight for my rights and make sure no one else has to endure this treatment." Lily shrugged arrogantly. "Do what you think is best, Chloe. But remember, this is my world and everyone here plays by my rules," she said, turning and leaving the room, leaving a heavy atmosphere. Chloe, shaking with anger and determination, returned to her desk. She knew what she needed to do, and while confronting Lily might have consequences, she refused to let fear stop her. The insult was not just a personal attack, but a sign that the company culture needed to change more deeply. "You're meeting with a lawyer tomorrow to go over your options," Carlos nodded, proud of his daughter's courage. "Yes, Chloe, we'll do whatever it takes. I'll be there for you every step of the way." Father and daughter shared a moment of unity and determination, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead as they turned to dinner. The conversation turned to planning their next steps, further cementing their alliance in the quest for justice. The day of the trial had finally arrived, and the air in the judge's office was tense with the impending legal confrontation. Amelia and Lily Baker arrived together, both dressed to the nines, reflecting the seriousness of the day. Carlos, on the other hand, was accompanied by Chloe, whose stance was resolute yet still somewhat fragile in the face of the situation. As they entered the judge's office, Carlos and Amelia exchanged a look that held untold stories and complicated emotions. Amelia felt a heavy feeling in her chest as she saw Carlos after so many years. His presence brought back memories she had tried to forget. Her eyes couldn't take their eyes off Chloe, a young woman facing challenges Amelia had never had the courage to support her through. Regret began to settle in as Amelia saw the similarities in Chloe that she wished she had never faced. Lily noticed her mother's distraction and leaned in to whisper, "Mom, are you okay? I think you look a little pale." Amelia forced a smile and quickly replied, "It's okay, honey. I'm just nervous about this whole process." As the judge opened the courtroom, Amelia struggled with her own thoughts. She began to contemplate all the choices she had made, thinking that no one knew about her first daughter, much less that she had rheumatism. Amelia feels the weight of the secret like a heavy stone in her stomach. As the trial progresses, Amelia finds herself lost in a sea of regret, wondering how she could have let things come to this. How could she have abandoned her own daughter? The internal struggle is almost unbearable. She sees in Chloe the strength and resilience she lacks in herself, and questions the love and protection she owed her child in the first place. The trial continues, but for Amelia, the real reckoning is just beginning, marking the beginning of a new journey in her life. The air in the judge's office is filled with anticipation as the defense and prosecution attorneys prepare to present their arguments. Chloe's attorney begins by listing instances in which Lily made derogatory and discriminatory comments toward Chloe, citing dates and witnesses who attest to her inappropriate behavior. Lily's lawyers try to downplay the damage, arguing that there were misunderstandings and a lack of concrete evidence to support the discrimination claims. They portray Lily as a strict but fair leader who may have been misunderstood by Chloe and the other staff. However, those words ring hollow to Amelia, who knows her daughter's true nature. Inside, Amelia begins to question her own choices. How could she not see what Lily had become? How could she have failed Chloe so deeply, not only by abandoning her but by ignoring the hardships she faced because of her? Guilt washes over her as each word from Chloe's lawyers stirs more remorse into her conscience. Amelia reflects on the contrast between her two daughters. Chloe, despite all the hardships and rejection she has faced, has shown admirable resilience and dignity. Meanwhile, Lily, blessed with every privilege and support, chose the path of arrogance and contempt for others. Wealth and power had made Lily lose her ability to empathize and show compassion. Amelia looked deeply into Lily's eyes, thinking, Chloe was brave to face injustices that should never have been a part of her life. Mother abandoned this child, leaving her to face the world without the love and support of a mother. And now Mother sees the wonderful woman she has become, despite her mother's absence. The tension in the courtroom reached a boiling point when the judge finally returned after a long deliberation. The judge began his speech. After carefully considering the evidence and testimony presented, the court concludes that defendant Lily Baker acted in a discriminatory manner toward plaintiff Chloe Clark based on her disability. Accordingly, the defendant is ordered to pay plaintiff emotional distress damages. Silence filled the courtroom. Lily stood there, unable to believe what she had just heard. She turned to her mother, her face uncertain and fearful. "Mom, what are we going to do? This is going to ruin the reputation of the company and your reputation." Amelia struggled to find the right words, only able to whisper, "We'll work this out, honey. We'll talk to our lawyers and see what we can do." In Chloe's ear, Carlos whispered, "You did the right thing, Chloe. I'm so proud of you. Chloe just nodded, her eyes filling with tears, feeling a complicated mix of relief and sadness. She knew this victory was not just for her, but for everyone who had been underestimated and treated unfairly like her. After the trial ended, Lily and Amelia Baker returned to their luxurious home. The silence between them was almost touching. Lily strolled across the large living room. "I really don't care about the compensation," Lily said, breaking the silence with a tone of disdain. "It's just the money, but what really bothers me is how this will affect my image and the image of the company." Amelia, who had spent the entire trial contemplating her failures as a mother and the consequences of her actions, looked at Lily with a serious expression. "Lily, maybe it's time for you to think less about image and more about what's right. You should go apologize to Chloe." Lily paused and turned to face her mother with an expression of shock and disbelief. "Sorry? Mom, I'm not serious. She's just an employee, and I'm the director of the company. I can't stoop that low." Amelia sighed, sadness and regret still heavy in her heart. "Lily, it's not about being condescending, it's about respect. Chloe is a human being and what you did was wrong. She deserves to be treated with dignity, regardless of her physical condition." Lily crossed her arms, her face becoming even more stern. "You're going too far, Mom. This is just political correctness gone mad. I'm the victim here, being punished for being a tough leader." Amelia observed Lily, realizing that her daughter still had a lot to learn. She wanted to believe that Lily would change, but her arrogant words and rigid attitude only reinforced her doubts. "Lily, I hope you understand the importance of your actions and their impact on those around you. One day, it won't just be about being a leader, but how you lead and respect others." Lily left the room, leaving Amelia alone with her thoughts. Amelia felt increasingly certain that somehow she needed to continue influencing her daughter, hoping that Lily would eventually realize the importance of treating everyone with equality and respect. The night was long and restless for Amelia, tossing and turning in bed, unable to find a comfortable position. Every thought of the trial and her past choices haunted her like a ghost in the darkness. The image of Chloe in the judge's office, strong and dignified, was a stark contrast to Lily's disdain, and the differences between her two daughters weighed heavily on her heart. She closed her eyes, and Amelia could feel Chloe's gaze on her, a mixture of strength and vulnerability. The judge's harsh words echoed in her mind, and Chloe's pained gaze in the courtroom remained in her conscience. It was not just regret, but a deep understanding that she had failed her daughter in a way that words could hardly express. Before dawn, Amelia had made her decision she could no longer live with this burden. She hurriedly dressed and, without breakfast, drove to Carlos's house. Her heart pounded as she drove, her mind rehearsing what she would say. She knew that words would not be enough, but she had to start somewhere. When she arrived at Carlos's house, Amelia parked and took a few deep breaths before stepping out. The early morning air was still hazy, so quiet it was almost palpable. She stepped up to the front door and, with trembling hands, rang the bell. Carlos opened the door after a few seconds, which to Amelia seemed like an eternity. His face was one of surprise and alarm at seeing her. "Amelia, what are you doing here at this hour?" His voice was cautious, almost as if he feared her presence might rekindle old quarrels. "I'm sorry to be here so early, Carlos, but I need to talk to Chloe. I need to apologize," Amelia began, her voice faltering as she struggled to keep her composure. The words seemed inadequate, but they were all she had. Carlos, still shocked by the unexpected visit, stepped back to let her in. His face was a mixture of disbelief and cautious hope, perhaps curious to see what Amelia's new testimony would lead to. Amelia, with tears in her eyes and a trembling voice, faced Carlos and pleaded, "Please, Carlos, I need to talk to Chloe. I need to try to fix things, even if just a little." Carlos remained adamant, however, his eyes reflecting protectiveness and concern. "Amelia, I don't think now is the right time. Chloe is so shocked by what happened, She needs space. Before Amelia could insist further, the sound of light footsteps echoed from the hallway. Chloe appeared in the doorway of the living room, her eyes surprised and wary to see her mother there. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was filled with curiosity and resentment as her eyes studied Amelia, trying to understand her mother's intentions. Amelia tried to move closer, her words seeming awkward and jumbled. "Chloe, I saw you in court. I realized what I did wrong, how I abandoned you. I'm here because I need you to know that I'm truly sorry for everything." Chloe listened, her expression slowly shifting from a cold exterior to one of pain and anger. "You saw her, right? You recognized her as your daughter, and you chose to pretend you didn't. You left her to face the world alone. You dare come here now and ask for forgiveness." Chloe's words were sharp, each word heavy with years of pent-up pain. "I'm truly sorry, Chloe. I know an apology can't change the past, but I'm here, ready to face the consequences and do whatever it takes to support you from now on." Amelia pleaded, tears streaming freely down her face. Chloe shook her head, her resolve clear in her eyes. "No, I don't accept your apology, Mom. I can't just show up and expect things to go back to normal." "Please, please leave." Chloe's voice was firm, leaving no room for argument. Amelia nodded slowly, taking one last look at Chloe to remember the strong, determined daughter before turning to leave the house. As she walked back to the car, tears blurred her vision, each step weighed down by the weight of choices and lost love becoming more irretrievable. Amelia arrived home, still distraught and silent, tears still dampening her face as she tried to compose herself. Lily, who had been in the living room flipping through a magazine, looked up at the sound of the door closing with more force than usual. She immediately noticed her mother's emotional state. "You're crying." "What's wrong?" Lily asked, her voice worried, though still maintaining an emotional distance, rather than genuinely concerned about her mother's condition. Amelia wiped her tears with the back of her hand before answering, her voice still shaking with the emotion of the encounter. "I went to apologize to Chloe." Lily frowned, clearly confused and slightly annoyed. "Why would you do that? Chloe doesn't deserve anything from us, not after everything she's done." The word "doesn't deserve" was said with disdain by Lily, as if it were something innocuous. Amelia felt a wave of indignation at hearing Lily speak of Chloe that way. She turned to face Lily with a firmness she rarely showed. "Don't talk about my daughter like that. Chloe is your sister and deserves respect. You should have done this a long time ago. Apologizing is the right thing to do, and it's time you started to understand that." Lily was nervous, not only at the revelation but also at her mother's rebuke. "Sister, how could that be? You've never mentioned her before." Her words trailed off, shock and confusion written all over her face, reflecting the enormity of the revelation. "Yes, she's my sister, and you abandoned her when she needed you most," Amelia continued, each word painful but necessary. "You've made many mistakes, Lily, but putting Chloe through what you've been through won't be one of them. It's time for us to change, for the children to learn to respect everyone regardless of their differences." Lily was silent, slowly taking in the information, the tension between mother and daughter clear, each grappling with their revelations and how they would change the dynamics of their lives. From that moment on, Lily looked at Amelia with a face that blurred between disbelief and anger. "I can't believe you're saying this. Is this even possible? Why didn't you ever mention it before?" Lily demanded, her voice rising in defiance and confusion. Amelia, summoning up all her courage, responded with false calm, trying to keep the situation as under control as possible. "Chloe is the product of your mother's first marriage to Carlos," she explained, hoping that the revelation would shed some light on the situation for Lily. "When we broke up, Mom had to leave her to try to rebuild her life, but now she realizes that abandonment caused a lot of pain for both of us." Amelia could never forget the moment she decided to leave her family when Lily was a child. She carried with her an invisible shame about Lily's health condition, a serious illness that caused her to go through painful and lonely days. As the years passed, Amelia lived in the obsession of that decision, the feeling of guilt always haunting her soul. One rainy evening, Lily suddenly appeared at Amelia's door. She was still in a state of shock when she realized the truth that her mother had hidden for so many years. In her confusion, Lily came up with a hateful question, reflecting her distorted view and deep prejudice. "How could you bring a creature like me into this world?" These words not only revealed surprise but also deep contempt, making Amelia feel like she was being knocked out of her heart. Amelia felt like she had been punched in the back, hurt by her daughter's bitter words. "Lily, as I said, you are my daughter, you are another daughter's sister. She is a human being with the same right to exist in this world as you. I feel ashamed and sad that you think that way," Amelia said, her voice shaking with emotion. Her mother's answer made Lily hesitate, beginning to realize the truth of her words and their impact. She looked into her mother's eyes, searching for any sign of error or exaggeration, but saw only sad determination in Amelia's. "Lily, you see now how I failed you by not teaching you to respect and appreciate all people regardless of their differences," Amelia continued, her voice choked with emotion. "But it's not too late to change. I hope you will reflect on your words and think about the person you want to be." Lily fell silent, her mother's words echoing in her mind. The presence of a sister she never knew and her reaction began to trigger a deep self-reflection. Meanwhile, Carlos, Amelia's husband and Lily's father, called their little girl to talk. "Chloe, you know what I did was hurtful and I understand your anger," Carlos began, choosing his words carefully. "But I think you were too harsh on her. Amelia was young and immature when this happened. We all make mistakes and we all deserve a chance at redemption." Chloe looked at her father with a mixture of disappointment and confusion. "Dad, how can I forgive someone who abandoned me? How can I trust my mother again?" Her voice shook, showing her deep pain. Carlos moved closer and sat next to her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, Chloe. It means letting go of the anger that can be toxic inside. Your mother made mistakes, but she's also carrying the weight of those mistakes. Giving her a second chance could do more for you than it will for her." Chloe took a deep breath, thinking about her father's words. After a few minutes of silence, Carlos picked up the phone and dialed Amelia's number. When Amelia answered, her voice was cautious but hopeful. "Amelia, it's Carlos. Chloe's been thinking about everything that happened and she's decided she wants to try to talk again. Can we set up a meeting somewhere neutral, maybe a restaurant?" Amelia, on the other end of the line, felt a mixture of relief and concern. "Of course, Carlos. That's wonderful. I really want to try to make things right this time." The meeting took place in a cozy restaurant, the dim lighting creating a conducive environment for intimate conversation. Chloe and Amelia sat across from each other, both clearly nervous but also ready for conversation. Chloe took her mother's hand, took a deep breath before speaking. "Mom, I've thought a lot about what Dad said. I understand that you're young and have a lot of fear and uncertainty. I'm willing to try to understand and forgive." The words were carefully chosen to avoid reopening old wounds. Amelia felt her chest tighten as Chloe responded, "Thank you, Chloe. Not a day goes by that I don't regret the choices I made. I really want to do things differently now. I want to be a part of your life, if you'll let me." Amelia, seizing on the opening, continued, "Actually, there's a little party tonight, a get-together with some old friends and new business associates. I was hoping you could join me. It's a way for us to start rebuilding our relationship, and I'd like to introduce you to everyone as my daughter." Chloe hesitated, surprise evident on her face. The idea of attending a social event so soon with her mother made her nervous, but she was also curious to see the other side of her mother, the side that wanted to fix what was broken. "Okay, I'll go. It'll be fun," Chloe agreed, her voice a mix of caution and curiosity. They both smiled, feeling the relief in each other. This was just a small step in the healing process, but an important one. The party started with a lively atmosphere. lively conversations and soft music playing in the background. When the moment felt right, Amelia decided to speak. She gently walked to the microphone and said, "Good evening, everyone." Her voice was steady, although clearly nervous. "I wanted to take this opportunity to share something very personal with all of you, something that has been a part of my life for many years but few of you know about." The room suddenly fell silent. All eyes turned to Amelia with curiosity and attention. She continued, "Many years ago, in my first marriage, I had a daughter due to life circumstances and my choices. For those reasons we had to part ways, but despite everything, she grew up to be an incredibly strong and resilient woman." Amelia looked up at Chloe with pride in her eyes. "I am so proud of the woman you have become," she said, her voice filled with admiration and respect. The genuine emotion emanated from Amelia's every word. "Chloe, please come here with me." Chloe, who had been sitting discreetly at the table next to her, suddenly felt called. She stood up, her heart pounding as she walked towards the stage under the surprised and curious gazes of the guests. When Chloe joined Amelia on stage, there was a murmur of excitement, some of them looking shocked at her appearance. Amelia looked at Chloe, her eyes sparkling with emotion. "This is Chloe, my daughter. Chloe is a person of incredible strength and courage, who has faced challenges that many of us could never imagine. I couldn't be more proud of you." Amelia then turned to face Chloe directly, taking her hand. "I love you, Chloe, and I want everyone to know how amazing you are." The room erupted in applause, the warm sound of support and admiration filling the air. Chloe felt touched and a little overwhelmed, smiling shyly, grateful for the recognition and public display of her mother's love. After Amelia's heartfelt speech, Lily felt a whirlwind of conflicting emotions swirling around her. She approached her sister Chloe, her voice shaking as she said, "I'm sorry for everything. I was wrong, really wrong. You didn't deserve any of this." Lily's voice trembled, showing her sincerity. Chloe was surprised by Lily's approach and vulnerability. She took a moment to process her words. "Lily, I appreciate your apology. It means a lot to me," Chloe replied, her voice cautious but open. The guests watched the sisters' silent exchange, sensing the tension slowly melting away. Amelia, watching carefully, felt a mixture of relief and hope as her daughters began to build bridges where there had been walls. Lily and Chloe continued to talk after the apology, even though they knew that rebuilding their relationship would take time. The first step Lily took that night opened a path to a future filled with understanding and, perhaps over time, friendship. They agreed to meet again, slowly began to share more about their lives, and rebuilt the trust that had been lost. The family saga, though marked by mistakes and regrets, ended the night on an optimistic note. Amelia, Chloe, and Lily found within themselves the strength to face the past and the courage to shape a different future. The party was not only a celebration of achievements and resilience, but also marked the beginning of a new chapter filled with possibilities for growth, forgiveness, and above all, a strengthened family bond. The next day, the atmosphere in Amelia's family changed dramatically. Other family members began to join the conversation, sharing their feelings and thoughts. Chloe's brother, Daniel, who had always kept his distance, also decided to join the family meeting. He admitted that he was also responsible for the misunderstandings between the sisters and expressed his desire to repair the relationship. Amelia decided to organize more family meetings so that everyone could understand and support each other better. On a special evening, they held a small party together at Amelia's big house, which had witnessed many happy and difficult moments of the family. The dim lights and soft music created a cozy atmosphere, encouraging everyone to open up and share their personal stories. While everyone was chatting and laughing, Chloe began to tell the story of her difficult journey to become someone Amelia was proud of. She shared about her struggles at work, her challenges in her personal life, and how she overcame them all to find joy and peace. Chloe's story not only inspired the other members but also helped them understand her strength and perseverance better. Lily, with the support of Chloe and her family, began to open up more about the hardships she had gone through. She shared about her feelings of abandonment and the mistakes she had made, and expressed her desire to improve herself and her relationship with her sister. Lily's sincerity and determination moved everyone and made them believe in her ability to change. Daniel, who had always felt outside the family circle, also began to show concern and support. He shared about the pressures of work and personal life, and how he had learned the importance of family in overcoming difficulties. Daniel's sharing helped everyone realize that, despite differences and difficulties, family is still the greatest source of strength and support. Amelia, in her role as the pillar of the family, continued to encourage communication and understanding. She organized. If you like this story, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Your support is the motivation for us to continue bringing you touching stories almost every day. Don't miss the next surprising stories that will appear on your screen. We sincerely thank you for being here. Now you can click on the links that appear on the screen right now. We have a special collection just for you, full of valuable stories and guaranteed entertainment. See you there.